code. Note down this transaction code, which if you are not aware, so we can create our OData services in SEGW. Okay, we are executing our OData services in following T code, that is slash gwfnd slash main underscore service. This is the transaction code which we are executing our OData service. So this is the place where we can build our OData services. So if you click on this create button, it will open a new project for me. Okay, just give any description, sorry, any project name, ZHR demo, OData services for vendor. Okay, so assign some package, click on continue. So when you create a OData services, we have four layers. One is data model, and under data model we have entity type and sets. So everything I will discuss, and the service implementation, runtime artifacts, service maintenance. So under the data model, so which we have entity types, association, and the entity set. What is an entity type? Let me discuss with you. So entity type is a structure. What is a structure? Structure is a combining of several fields together called as a structure. So entity type is a structure. So to define entity type, we have two different ways. You can create a structure here manually. You can create a structure in the S11. You can import those structure also. That is completely your wish. Okay, the entity type. So this entity set is an internal table. Okay, where I can get the all the records from the database. So entity set is a based upon entity type. How we are going to create an internal table in the ABAP programming means data internal table name type table of with respect to structure we are creating an internal table. Similarly, it is going to create an entity set based upon the entity type. That means based upon the structure which we import from the database, it is act like as a internal table. This is the connection how entity type and entity set with the ABAP programming. So if you click on this data model, right click, and we have import. So firstly we have to uh, import the structure from the DDIC. Okay, if you want to create the manual structure also, that's your wish. Click on this.
Harsha,
Yes.
actually, I have a doubt. So, depending upon what we create entity types, like is it the requirement that someone will give? This is how the front end screen looks like, and depending upon that front end screen, are we going to design like are we going to create our entity types or depending upon what we create the entity type?
They, if you talk about the front end perspective, they will give the what are all the fields you have to bind the from the OData. So those fields you have to create the entity type.
Okay.
Okay, whatever what are all the fields they have given to you, you have to create a structure or you have to create an entity type for those fields, and you have to generate the OData service for those fields, and you have to bind to the front end part.
Okay, okay. So simply depending upon the fields present in the
Yeah.
front end. Oh, thank you.
Nice. ENT. Just you can give the any name. It should not compulsory to start with uh, Z. So in the ABAP structure, you can create a ABAP structure separately also. You can give the database table name also. So after that, it is allowing to select uh, what are all the fields you want to create the structure. So let's say LFA1. This is the database table name. So if you click on this, create default entity set. So entity set will create automatically. If you untick this, you have to create manually. So instead of doing manual things, we have to create automatically. Click on next. So it is asking to select the fields. What are all the fields you need to create a structure? Just select the fields which you require. So I'm selecting LIFNR, land 1, name 1, ORT 1. Just select fields, click on next. So like how the table having the primary key to maintain the uniqueness of the table. Similarly, we have a key to maintain the uniqueness of the service. Just select the key field. Click on finish. Okay. So it is going to import our structure into the entity type. So how I can see means if you click on this entity type, extension we have, this is the entity type which you are giving. So if you click on this extension, which we have properties, in the properties, whatever the fields we are importing from the database, every field is visible here. So and next we'll come to the entity set. Entity set is automatically creating. Okay, this is the entity set. If you know the entity type also, it's very easy to find entity set because SCT is added to the entity set. The entity type is same, the entity type name is same, SCT is added for the entity set. So the service implementation, next will come to this service implementation. So if you come to the implementation of the service, we have two different ways. One is writing the our customized logic that come under the runtime artifacts. So this is the one way. Second way is you have to map the database fields. According to that, it is going to generate a service for me. That is service implementation. So this service implementation, when we discuss, we have a project for BAPI. So at the time, I will map the fields and I will show in the practical. So as of now, so we will write our customized code in the runtime artifacts. So just like how we are having activate in the ABAP programming, then only the changes will replicate into output. Similarly, we have generate runtime objects. So see here, there is no runtime artifacts as of now. There is no extension. There nothing in the runtime artifacts. Whenever I'm going to click on this generate runtime objects, SAP is generating four different abstract classes. So if I click on this, enter. So it is going to provide this is the MPC class. So this is the name. If you want to change the name, because this with this name only, it is going to create standard classes. So if you want to change the name, you can change the name also. So remember this technical service name. Okay, through this name only we are going to execute. So normally without this name also we have two different ways to execute. I will show you two different ways also. Click on enter and save it. So everything is implemented. If you click on this extension in the runtime artifacts, we can have dpc underscore ext. Before generating the runtime artifacts, these classes cannot generate. So whenever you are going to generate a service, it is going to create standard classes for us. These standard classes are the abstract classes. So normally we will write the logic in the dpc underscore ext. Why we will write the logic in the dpc underscore ext? Why we should not write the logic in the dpc? Because when you write the some code in the dpc and again if you want to replicate your changes in the payload and we are regenerating, whenever you are going to regenerate it, whatever the code you are writing in the dpc, it is going to vanish, it is going to remove, that is no use. So that's the reason we are writing our code in the dpc underscore ext. So MPC so is the class. So when we discuss the what we can call a deep entity, so in that case we have to create a multiple structures. So we are creating the structure from the MPC and getting those final structure into the uh, what we can call in the dpc underscore ext. So just click on this dpc underscore ext, right click on go to workbench. So it is going to generate. So these are the standard methods. There is no use of this. Click on the methods. Click on the inherited methods. Okay. So inherited means you are inherited the methods of an abstract class. Okay. So these are the methods. So the create entity, delete entity, get entity set, update entity. Okay. Click on this get entity set and right click, redefine the method. Then only we can write our logic. So firstly, entity set acts like an internal table. If you want to get the entire data from the database by writing select queries, you can use this get entity set. Okay, just write a simple query. Select LIFNR land 1, name 1, what is 01 from LFA 1 into corresponding fields of table ET entity set. Because why we are moving to the ET entity set? If you click on the signature, whatever the parameters are available in the get entity set method is available in the signature. Okay, if you click on the signature, it is going to hide. If you want to see what are all the parameters are available in this particular method, so just click on the signature. If you see the entity set, okay, this is the entity set, et underscore entity set, right? If you click on this associate type, you can understand. So it's not just simply we are moving. See, TT. What is TT? TT means table type. If you double click on this direct entry code, see, This is the table type. Table type means what? The table type is an internal table where we can get the multiple records from the database. It is directly referring to the internal table. So that's the reason we are moving to the entity set. Otherwise, you can declare an internal table and move here, and you can apply a move command to move the that temporary internal table to the entity set. You can do that way also. There is no issues. Just activate it and go back. And we have service
That
maintain.
that code you have shown is automatically generated by the abstract class, right?
Yes. Whenever we are going to redefine, the standard code will be there. Just delete that code and we can write our customized code. So, in order to execute our service, we have to register our service. So, it's not compulsory to have to execute your service in our GUI, our system also. You can execute this service in the uh, some systems. So, in this part of our demo session, we will register our service in this particular system. So right click on this local, you will have to register your service. Click on yes. So if you want to execute in this GUI, you have to give the local. Local means you are executing your service in this particular GUI. Just assign any package. Okay, now we have to execute our OData service. Right click on this. Directly, you can have a gateway client. Click on this. So it is going to navigate to the transaction code is slash gwfnd slash main underscore service. This is the transaction code where we can execute our OData service. So this is the request part and this is the response where we can get our data. So when we write the queries, we are moving those data into the entity set. Firstly, we have to select entity set, then only it will retrieve the data. If you click on this entity set, click on entity set. So enter. So whatever the data is available in the entity set, everything is retrieved into the response. Okay. Get means you are getting the data from the database. In at that time, you have to use the method as get. So post means when you want to create entries into the database table, you have to use post. If you want to update any entire row, you have to use put. If you want to update one particular field, you have to use the patch. So if you want to delete any particular record, you have to use the method as delete method. So when we discuss the CRUD operations, we will discuss each and every parameter, every method, how it will act. If you click on execute, so when you perform a get method, status code is 200. So the status codes also important. So the status code 200 means so your response is successful. So successfully you are retrieving the data. Status reason is okay. Okay. So if you have any problem in your service, you will get the other status code. So that thing also I will show you. So what are the fields we are importing the. So just go down, We are importing the LIFNR, land one, name one, ORT one. Those fields are available in this entity type. Okay, you have add URI options. So we can test with the different URI options. If you click on this add URI options, let's say I want to find how many number of records are there in the payload, in the response. Just click on the count. Okay. So it will give you how many number of records are there in the C. The total records is 5923. So this many records. So that's the reason it will take the some time to process those records. So different URI
What
app.
is payload?
Pardon?
What is payload?
Yeah. Yeah, payload means where we can get the data into the response. In the response header, where we can get the data, we can also call it as payloads.
Okay.
So, in the OData services, session breakpoint is not trigger. Why? So, I will show you with an example so that you can have a clear cut idea. I will set a session breakpoint. I will set external breakpoint. Can anybody tell me what is the difference between session breakpoint and external breakpoint?
Session breakpoint is up to the program only. External program means if we are using this to the front end application and in order to work it, we need it external breakpoint in our data.
Okay. So let me put a session breakpoint. Go back and we are making some changes. Every time you make the changes, just regenerate it. Generate runtime objects. Whatever the change we are making, it will reflect in the output. Generate it. Go to the service part. So just remove this thing. Click on execute. Directly it will fetch an output. So the debugger is not triggered. Why? Because we are creating our service in the SEGW transaction code. We are calling those OData service and executing our OData service in the another transaction code, that is gwfnd slash main underscore service. This is the differentiation, and then executing part is differentiation. Session breakpoint is only applicable to only in that particular session. So these are the two different sessions. How the session breakpoint is, oh, in that time you have to go with the external breakpoint. Just double click on dpc underscore ext, methods, redefinition. Just delete this and put external breakpoint. And again execute from the OData service. It is going to trigger a debugger for me. So this is the debugger entity set. If you click on F5, it is going to give me number of records are there in the OData services. Just click on execute. This is about the debugger. So let's say if I want to see the particular record. So let's say if you want to see the particular record, you have to give the within brackets what is the record you want to see in the within the quotes. Let's say I want to see the first record. Okay, you can have the LIFNR with the 1. So that's the reason I'm giving. Click on execute. It is going to give me an error. See, the method get entity is not implemented in the class. So if you want to get the single record, you have to implement get entity. So now we have to redefine and we have to implement get entity. So we have inherited methods. We have get entity. Just right click and redefine. Redefine and write the code. Click on this signature. We have something called as firstly we are getting a single record. If you want to get a single record, firstly we have to perform a read table and get the single record because read table will help you to get the single record. So in order to perform a read table in when we see in the ABAP programming, we have with key with index. So in with index with key, we are reading an internal table. Similarly, we have in the ODATA services, we have to read our internal table that is name and the value. If you click on this IT key tab, okay, yes, click on yes. So click on this associate type. Click on this structure. So these are the two parameters are available. So if you want to read, if you want to perform a read operation, you have to use this parameter. So what is the parameter you have to read? The every parameter having a property. In the entity type, we have property. You have to read the property name. So whatever the value it is containing the that property, you have to assign those value. So at that time, if you want to assign those value into the those property, you have to use the value field. So let me just copy this thing. So firstly, I will show you in the old syntax. Everybody is comfortable with the inline, or I will go with the new and old both. Just declare a work area, ls key type, okay, and perform read table. Read table, whatever the internal table we have, what is the internal table we are reading at IT key tab. Okay, into what is the work area ls key with key. We are reading with the name. So whatever the properties we are having, you have to take those name only. If you take other than those property name, it is not going to consider. So this is the naming convention. Most of the case, the first letter will be the first letter in the property name should be capital. Remaining things will be small. I will show in the entity type also, no issues. Just check the condition. If size sub RC equal to 0 and fetch the single record. Select single LIFNR land 1, name 1, what is 01 into corresponding fields of ER entity. Why we have to move the ER entity? So if you click on this signature, we have one parameter that is ER entity. If you double click on this, it is calling a structure. So if you double click on this associate type, so we have TS. TS means it's a structure. If you go to the source code, so it is calling the one structure. See, this is the structure TS ENT So structure is a work area. So that's the reason it is hold only single record. So that's the reason we are moving to the single record to the ER entity. Because this field, when we pass the single field, so it should be dynamic. When you see in the debugging mode, it whatever the values we are passing from the execution of the OData service, everything will be there in the IT key tab. Let me show you in the debugging mode. Go back, and in the same node, I will show you the entity type properties also. See, these are the first letter should be capital. Whatever the properties we have imported from the data dictionary, we are reading those field name only. So again regenerate. Right click on local, execute gateway client. Just select entity set. Through the entity set only, we can get the all the data from the database. Just execute, we will get the data. So we are putting the breakpoint on one breakpoint on get entity set, one breakpoint on get entity. See, so we are not passing any single value in the URL. Okay, so that's the reason it is going to trigger a get entity set. When you pass single value, directly the breakpoint will trigger from the get entity, because if you want to get the single record, we have to implement the code for the get entity. So just execute it. So let's say I want to get the single record. This is the record. Execute. Okay. If you click on this IT key tab, double click on this IT key tab. So we are reading with the LIFNR, right? When you perform read table, this is the field which we are reading. So what is the record which we are passing in the URL? So we are passing the record number is 1. So whatever you pass from the URL, it is going to trigger, it is going to capture those values in the IT key tab. Click on this desktop 3. So just press F5. Just enter ER entity. ER underscore entity. Okay, ER entity is a structure. So this is the value which we are getting. So land 1 and the name 1. And this is the ORT 1. If you click on execute, so those values are there. Okay. LIFNR, land 1, name 1, ORT 1. Same thing, how we will perform a read table in the inline declarations also we'll see. The problem with the inline declaration, especially when we perform a read table, is when you read any record in the internal table, if the record is not there in the internal table, directly it throws a dump. In the old syntax, even though whatever the record we are reading, if it is not contained, it is not going to dump. So in the inline declarations, if record does not having in the table, it is going to directly throw a dump. So how we are going to see? It does not in inline declaration. It does not having any impact on size of bars. Even though you will write the else condition also, it does not check. Just it is there in the internal table or not. It does if it not contain, directly throws a dump. So how we are going to declare a work area by using data. So data within brackets you have to declare your work area. My work area is ls key. Okay, you have to give the value. So value keyword will act as a two different things. One is filling the dummy data and reading an internal table. Both will act for the value operator. You have to give the hash. It will associate, it will have understand the associate type of ls key. What is the associate type of ls key? The internal table which we are reading. So within the brackets, you have to give which internal table we are reading. What is our internal table which we are reading? IT key tab, right? So in the new syntax, there is no need to give with key. Just you can give the property name. If you want to read with the index, directly you can give the index. Okay. If you want to read with the key, just mention that key name equal to LIFNR. Okay. And we have to give the optional, because why we have to give the optional? If the record is not containing in this particular internal table, so directly it throws a dump. In order to maintain dumps, we have to give the optional. If you use this one, so you will not receive any dumps if the record is not reading. Just close it. That's it. Execute from the service. Now in the ls key we have, it is a structure. So whatever the values we are passing from the service, sorry, in the executing part, it is going to trigger whenever you will press F5 and get the data and F8. So you will get those records in the entity set, sorry, in